special meeting of the City Council for October 23rd, 2014. Staff report, please.
Roll call first, please.
Okay.
Councilmember Edgar?
Here.
Councilmember Gross?
Here.
Councilmember Kusamoto?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Murphy?
Here.
Mayor Graham Mejia? Absent.
Okay, now we'll have the staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council. I want to share my appreciation with you for having this special meeting, and also my apologies for requiring you to come in. Horizons Construction began our alley improvement project just over a week and a half ago on October 13th. We had one change order for that project, and due to it was somewhat expected, and that was due to the groundwater conditions, and that was in the $8,250. We kind of expected that one. It happens in most alley projects, but lo and behold, we have another change order that's out of the city manager's area of responsibility and exceeds the contract. While replacing the water meters, Golden State Water released 30,000 gallons of water into the alley that was carved out during construction. There's photos in a chronological order on the dais to share with you what happened once the geyser hit. Golden State has committed to reimbursing the city for the $23,126 that it will take to add the cement treatment to the soil and keep the project on schedule. To proceed timely with the project, the city manager is seeking your approval to authorize Horizon Construction to proceed with change order 2, which would help delay any delays, get people back into their garages, using the alleys, and back to their normal trash access, and keeping the project under on schedule. I have to point out an error in the staff report. In the summary and recommendation, I put 22-126-81. It's actually 23-126-81 is the change order. It matches the change order on the that's attached to your staff report. Again, we apologize for this. Golden State has taken responsibility for it. They're not trying to skirt the responsibility at all. With that, if you have any questions, Dave Hunt and I are both here to answer any questions for you.
Dean?
Move approval.
Oh.
Second.
Yeah, I'll second. I got just a couple really quick questions. So at the end of this, they hit the underground water, and does any of the contractors taking responsibility? When you say Golden State Water's taking it, they subbed out this work probably. You know, I own a company that does a ton of stuff like this, and I really want to see how we treat the end contractor in something like this. If you're trying to do business in LaSalle, you're working for Golden State Water, because a lot of times when stuff like this happens, the person that has the least amount of position or power in here gets abused. And I just want to know at the contractor level for Golden State Water, who is the contractor, what is going on at beneath the veil?
I don't have the name of the subcontractor for Golden State Water District, but I did talk to Golden State Water's insurance adjuster, and they are contacting the subcontractor's insurance, and between the two of them, we will get reimbursed. But it kind of sounds like Golden State is going to go after the insurance for their subcontractor to pay for this.
So most of this type of work, when it happens, the lowest level has to do everything they can to put the property back to the way it was before they started. So that means the city got involved, the city accumulates time, potentially charges time if they got involved. Golden State Water, if they put crews in, they start accumulating time. I'm just curious what this is looking like in the way of a total cost. You know, we're sitting at the top just approving kind of a change order, and we're acting like somebody else is going to be picking this up. I just want to know how, again, we treat down at the lowest level. The companies are really doing the work at the lowest level, and how much in total is this hit? Because it's a lot more. I'm telling you now, this is a lot more than $23,000.
Yeah, I know Golden State, you know, they brought out 2 pump trucks. There were 7,500 gallons apiece, or maybe 3 of them. Then they drained the water out there on Friday night. You know, they did the emergency repair. Golden State crew was out there today changing the PVC pipe to copper. You know, because they didn't want it happening again. But so And we really will not see what the cost of all that is, because that's their responsibility for this type of deal. So I really can't answer you on how much the total cost is going to be for them. Our contractor is the one for this 23,000 is going to fix the soil so that can be compacted, so they can do on that. So the 23,000, our contractor will do the work, and that's what this is for. If you would like, I can get with Golden State Water District and find out what the total cost are, if they're gonna, how much they're charging their sub, or how much they are absorbing themselves.
Yeah, I just don't think the staff report covers the total extent of this damage.
Well, we don't know what it is.
But it's our project, right?
Well, let me explain the structure. The city council awarded a bid to Horizons. We're there to reconstruct an alley. During the alley project, we remove all of the blacktop. Golden State Water takes advantage of that and sets in new meters. We don't have a contract for new meters. That's not within our scope of our project. Golden State just takes advantage of us removing our asphalt. And they lay down new meters, and then we come in and put the concrete in. During that, Golden State used one of their subs. We don't have a contract with Golden State, and we don't have a contract with the subs. So all of the pumping and all of the water and all of that repair is eaten by Golden State. Their subs were immediately removed from the process. So
And-
I hope that helps
Yeah,
explain.
and they do that on all our street projects and anything else we do. They come out and change all their valves and get them up to date. And they ask us to make sure they have time to get in and get out before we finish our project.
Okay, let me ask a different way then. Who pulled the permit for this job?
Horizons.
For us?
Well, for us, we hired them, we gave them a contract to do the work. It's not like they don't get a permit from us, they get a contract.
And again, the fact that we came down today, I'm sorry, council, I feel that I have time to talk about this since I would, wouldn't normally be here, so I'm getting a little bit deeper than I normally would, so I just apologize in advance, but I'm very interested in this. I think that when you pull a permit, like Horizon pulls a permit, they get awarded a project for us. We have a lot of Verizon stuff that happens in the city, they'll pull permits. But in the middle of that project, somebody pulls a permit to do the alley. We sign it off because we've got to get our inspectors to come out and go through the process. They open up the body and they start saying, hey, anybody else, while we got it open, anybody else want to do something in here? And so they decide to do water stuff for the meters and stuff. So they do that. Horizon has been on the contract. They've pulled permits. Something has happened on their project. It wasn't directly their responsibility, but they have the permit to open up the city at that point. And then, is there another permit issued under that to go and do something now, once the asphalt is lifted up here in our city? I'm just kind of curious. What is the...
What we do is when we start any construction job, we have a pre-construction meeting with all the utility companies. And we bring them in, and then we go over the project and what we're going to do for the gas, the water, if Edison's out there, any of them, and we talk about what we're doing. And then they'll come back and know that they don't, when it's a job like that, where they want to just fix valves and stuff in our city, we don't make them pull a permit for that. That's just, they're out there doing their maintenance on items. It's not like they're putting in new lines or new things where we do make them pull permits and do stuff if they're going to trench across our street and they're going to do stuff like that. I mean, even if we said on our contractor to adjust all these about the utilities would come and said, no, we want to do that. We will do that with no charge. That's just the nature of what we do for these type
So
of projects.
when you pull the permit, you have to have USA come out and mark everything. That's what
Yeah,
you're
they go
talking
out and
about.
spray everything.
So they've sprayed, apparently the water main was there.
Well, yeah, now you got to understand that this was the water valve at the top. There was
Yeah.
a thing there. Their subcontractor went to open it up, and what he did is he opened it up with a crowbar, and by pushing weight on it, he broke the pipe
At
down
the
below.
bottom.
And then that popped it open. So he broke it by the way that he tried to open it up. He tried to force it open. I mean, so this isn't anything to do with our contractor excavating or moving things around it. It was the method that the subcontractor for the water district opened up the valve, and that snapped it. I mean, so it was, and their valve was sitting there, the dirt was excavated around it, there was nothing wrong with it by our contractor, all that, and they wanted to come in and put a new concrete box around it and put a new valve in there. That's just what they do, at no charge to us.
But isn't the liability, though, on the permit holder who pulled the permit to open this? Something happens when it's open. If there was an issue with Golden State and their subcon and they didn't fix it, or what if it took 5 weeks to fix it and the alley was a disaster for 5 weeks? Who would ultimately be responsible? Be the person that pulled the permit, right?
It would be the person that did the damage. And we have a master agreement with all the utility companies at the city for doing maintenance and items that they need to.
With an indemnity agreement in it.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
So, okay, so if you come into our city and you pull a permit to do a project, and somebody else that has utilities in that right of way, if they want to do maintenance, come on in, or during the pre-construction, you guys would talk through it, give authorization. If a catastrophic event happens like this, pretty bad, everybody understands. I mean, Horizon's sitting back, kind of probably wondering, when am I going to finish this job now? They've
no,
got.
he's been busy every day, so he doesn't have any downtime yet.
Yeah, we were worried about downtime, so we've
Yeah.
been documenting their staff out there, taking photographs of their staff to make sure they can't charge us back for downtime.
Okay, but if they do have downtime, then who would they charge?
They would then charge us, and then we would then attach that to our damage and give that to the water district as part of. They know they would have to pay downtime. We had these discussions.
Okay.
And so we came up actually with 3 solutions. One was let it dry out on its own, which could take 3 to 4 weeks with all the mud, and we'd have to pay downtime, which would add up to more than other 2 options we came up with, and we picked the cheaper of the 2 options that would do the job. My geotech engineer came out and looked at it. So we went through all that discussion on what the fastest and most efficient way to fix the situation that would work. So we went through all that discussion. But we do have clauses between all the utility companies and us so for them to do what they consider. This is like maintenance. This is not putting in new facilities. It's a maintenance item that they wouldn't have done if we weren't going to be doing our project.
Right.
And like you say, he sees an opportunity, they come in and do that. So it's kind of covered under the big blanket.
Okay, so we wouldn't be surprised if Horizon submitted a downtime claim. We would just help facilitate it to where it needed to go.
Well, right. I mean,
And we would make sure we verified and documented what they tried to claim.
right.
That's why I was out there today. I went out there this morning to make sure they were still working. There's photographs of them
Yeah.
working in your packet with you.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that they were working together on the rest of the alley. This is about, I'd say about 600 linear feet, but the whole total alley project is 1,100 linear feet. There's plenty of other areas they've been pouring and doing cross gutters, and you'll see some of the finished work already in there. So I want to make sure that they can't come back and claim something on us. So emails are in files, those photos are in our project file for our CIP project file. I've downloaded it all because I know how what these things can blow up and later.
Yeah, closing comment. So Horizon comes, they may or may not have subbed it. They pulled the permit. They potentially had this issue happen. They potentially have either them directly or a sub that's definitely had some delay in this project. We've evaluated the potential hit for downtime. If it's submitted, we're going to fight it. When you say there's arrangements, I have done this so many times, and the cities reject the downtime right away. So again, the Horizon sub ends up paying the price. But I just don't think there are agreements really that are ironclad to kind of, this project to me, it seems like there would be more costs coming in the 25,000. I guess that's what I'm getting to at the end of the day. And I know we're saying we got indemnification now through Golden State Water because it was a water thing they were trying to change, but Horizon doesn't have a contract with the water company. They basically, their job got held up because somebody got in there in the middle of their job. And I think it's realistic to expect that Horizon would submit a bill to us for downtime. When you do projects like this, you order all the materials in advance, you get all the equipment locked up, you got people. This is a pretty big job. It seems like, they definitely would be charging us something else than just standing by.
Well, their material here is concrete, and they order concrete trucks, and they order concrete trucks the day they're going to pour. And they poured concrete yesterday, and then they were cleaning up today. Their crew is ready to work tomorrow if we give them the go-ahead. If we give them the go-ahead, I will email them with this and say it's approved, and they'll start tomorrow on the soil thing, and then they'll start pouring next week. So they don't have a liable claim for any downtime yet on their contract. It's a small contract. I mean, it's in there. It's a small crew. The only sub they have is where they get their concrete. I mean, they're doing they did all the other work in-house, and the same staff that was out there excavating and removing are the ones that are out there cleaning the trash up and cleaning up all the side areas. I mean, it's all the same people. It's a small contractor. Yes, there's other costs, but those other costs are being borne by Golden State Water District, and
Or somebody's being told to suck it up and just do it and wait, and there's no real person that's going to pay except the subcon.
when it happened, we called Golden State Water District direct, and then they called the pumping truck and had trucks delivered, and then had their crew out there to change the valve. I mean, it was their crew that came out instantly.
It was
once
their
that-
trucks,
Yeah.
their crew. It wasn't
Their crew. So,
they
I
didn't
mean-
have to get a sub out there.
Yes, there's costs with that, but those will not come to us.
Yeah. Okay, well, I will go ahead. I think we already have a second. If not, I'll second it, but
Warren? Yeah, so thanks, Councilmember Egger. I think those are really interesting questions. So I think, though, what caused me to think when you were asking, if there are additional costs, this is not an agreement to settle with Golden State or their insurance company. Is that true, right? I mean,
Correct.
So if there are additional costs, we have remedies to go off and get reimbursement.
Absolutely.
So I think that's one from the protection of the city standpoint. But I guess, Troy, if your question is, you're not trying to squeeze the guy at the bottom of the rung, right? Because that's the other.
yeah, I don't want to be that city. I can give you 5 cities in Orange County that I hate doing work for. In San Bernardino, you can name almost all of them. I don't want to be that city. And if in my job here, we have a chance
Yeah,
to
okay.
be different, we should be trying to look out for the little guy, too, doing work
And
here.
I support that, too, but I think but this is not settling the whole thing, right? There are additional costs.
Well,
of
the change order, though, Warren, I mean, there is a change amount on this, right?
Yeah, 23,000, 23,126.81. It's misprinted in 2 sections. It's 22,126.
But if it's not enough, right, or for this portion, then we're back to the well, right? I mean, that's kind of, I think that's what it comes down to.
But will we need another meeting to do that, I guess if it's not over 10 grand?
Right, as long as it's not over 10 grand, and we still have contingency reserve in the project. This is being reimbursed by Golden State, so that's where the funding's coming like this.
But I think, we ought not to squeeze the little guys either. I think we ought to be
So
sensitive.
far, Horizon hasn't
Yeah.
complained. They just want this executed as soon as possible so they can keep their people moving and get our residents back into their garages.
And that's the important part, too, get our folks back in. Okay.
I have one question. How does this affect the city getting reimbursed for all your guys' time?
There hasn't been a lot of our time. Tony and I are salary, so it's not really a lot of extra time. We were out there on Friday night, off the clock, kind of.
Yeah.
Tony and I were there supervising the extraction of all the water till about 5:30. And then this staff report's pretty minimal. I mean, we could, if we were interested, we could place a claim in to try to recover that cost based on Golden State, but just don't know if it's worth it.
Okay. I mean, because, Dave's involved, obviously, and,
Yeah. It hasn't been that much
Yeah.
I
hours.
was out there Friday night, too.
Yeah.
But, we do job visits anyway.
okay.
This is just part of
All right.
checking up on them. It's
Yeah.
all part of what we have in the normal process.
Okay. We have a motion and a second, so all in favor? Aye. Opposed? No? That will conclude our meeting.
Thank you.
Wait, before that, should you open up just oral communication?
Okay.
Just-
Open up oral communication to the public. Seeing none, we will now close the meeting. I lost the override.
Guys, thank you.
Of saving the 30,000 gallons of water for other use?
No, because it was dirty by that time. The exposed dirt had layers of little, layers of things floating on top of it. Oil and grease slick on top of it. So it actually had to be taken to the City of Garden Grove, to a pumping station, where it would be filtered. It couldn't go directly into a storm drain or a park or anything like that. If it came to our line, we drive it over.
Yeah, that was my thought, was is there a way that we could do something?
50 to here,